Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 1970 Hot Wheels Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Custom. Now this has 1,500 horsepower, 868 pounds-feet of torque from its original 6.6 litre V8 engine, but it now has two turbochargers on top of it, and it now has 3,324 pounds in weight. Now has off-road tyres, all-wheel drive and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 2.381 seconds, 0 to 104.603 seconds, and it will go to a top speed of 223 miles an hour. So even though this now has off-road suspension, it's only raised it by 2.98 inches, which would be a lot on a normal ride height of a car, but because this was already virtually on the ground, it's not all that much in terms of ride height, unfortunately, which might mean that this will bottom out. It might also mean that when it lands on a jump it will bounce back up and be uncontrollable. So but hoping that's not the case, because I really do like this car. It's also got really rather good acceleration, launch, braking. Top speed is fairly good, and the handling has, we've seen a lot worse handling on vehicles before on this series, so could go either way in terms of that regard, but the big concern is the ride height, which, as you can probably see, isn't even that high. As you can see there in that side shot, it's really rather still quite low to the ground. So I'm not sure what it's going to do, but there's only one way to find out. Let's get going. So really rather quick in terms of acceleration. Doesn't have its 4-speed NASCAR gearbox anymore because 175 mile an hour is quite a lot, but there's every chance that we could hit that on this course, so I wanted that extra little bit of leeway just in case, because we have had cars get up to that speed and more. The last thing I want is this topping out and losing out on time. So it's obviously not going to have the best of turn-ins because I never had all-wheel drive originally, so I'm expecting a lot of understeer, but it does have a lot of torque and power to hopefully get the car around the corners by flooring it, to try and cure some of that understeer. And it is still properly quick into the acceleration as well as you'd expect for something with 1,500 horsepower, which granted isn't a huge amount over what it had originally. It's only just over 400 extra horsepower, but 1,500 is still a lot to deal with, especially on a course like this, especially in a car that has there's a bounce from landing there, especially in a car that wasn't meant for dealing with these kind of conditions. Just about got around that corner. It's going to be interesting to see what the standard version of one of these can do on this series, because that is also coming in the festival playlist in the same way that this did. So going to be really rather curious to see what that can do in comparison to this one. This dynamically is somewhat going to be different because the engine is pretty much in the middle of the car, even though it's still up front. And depending on the engines we can put in it, it might have less power, or it could have more. Couldn't actually swap any engine into this, it was just a standard engine with turbochargers and a new intercooler. Still, 1,500 is hard to get angry about in terms of levels of power. Far more agile than I was expecting it to be, given it's got some understeer. Mightily quick down there, unfortunately. More understeer, slowing us down. It's not as bad as it was in the Hennessy Velociraptor 6x6, but it's not quite as under control as you'd want it to be. Great speed down there though. Oh dear. We didn't really have braking down there because we were halfway in the air for a lot of that bit. Run up to the corner. Speedy across the finish line. So we're definitely quicker than the previous car in the series, which was the Hennessy Velociraptor at 3 minutes 20.108, but we're nowhere near as fast as the still fastest Hot Wheels vehicle, which was the 2 Jets, which managed 3 minutes 12.134, and for the longest time was the fastest vehicle that we've had on this series. But still, that is fairly sharpish for a car that, like I said, has very low ground clearance, even though it's obviously been raised. And yeah, that means it's quicker than an Illumicraft Class 1 buggy, Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, and a Ford Mustang Mach-E 1400. So overall, really rather quick, but not as quick as I would have liked, considering the amount of power it's got and the fact it doesn't weigh as much as some vehicles. But still, could have been a lot worse given what kind of car it is. Nonetheless though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!